Hi, I'm Laura Mattingly Jopling, and this is my Phonemic Awareness lesson plan for first grade. My objective is to segment and blend single-syllable real and nonsense words with as many as 5 phonemes or sounds. And we're going to segment and blend them without using letters or words, so it's all going to be off of pictures. And my objective was a little challenging for me at first because this is like the foundation. It's very raw to teach these children without even words or letters. So it was a little difficult for me to get started. I didn't, really know where to begin. But once I started, it really showed me that this is the easiest way for students to see it and grasp it before they move on to letters and words. For my review, I would just review the phoneme isolation as a class together, do the individual sounds of the 10, 3, and 4 letter words that we had learned yesterday. And I have the list attached, but some of those words, for example, would be like crab, k, ra, r, a, b, excuse me, k, r, a, b, crab, that's 4 sounds. Cat, k, a, t. Together as a class, we would do this orally. K, at. Dog, d, a, k. And we use our hands, our fingers, to sound them out together with the class. Another 4 sound word would be dream. D, r, e, m, dream. So we would do this together. And I would say let's do larger words than we did yesterday, or do a larger word. So it's how many sounds are in stand. So s, t, a, n, d. There's 5 sounds in stand. S, t, a, n, d. And I could ask them, what is the middle sound? So this is kind of reflecting on what we've learned earlier. And the middle sound would be s, t, a, n, d. And this would kind of incorporate math almost. Well, some would be visually able to say the middle because it's obviously in the middle, but then some would do 1, 2, 1, 2 and be able to count, and that would be a way to incorporate it. S, t, a, n, d. So a would be the middle sound. And if I say, what is another word with 5 sounds like stand, another word would be drink. The kids could answer drink. D, r, e, n, k, drink. The purpose and importance of this lesson is to lay the foundation for these students so we can create strong and fluent readers and spellers in the future, because just like with math that I just talked about, if the foundation's not laid, they will struggle in the future. Last week we learned about common first, middle, and last sounds, which I just reflected back on with the middle and stand. Today we're going to continue to learn how many sounds are in words, and by saying them, and then we're going to blend them together. And tomorrow we will look at words that have phonemes removed. So the objective, like I said, is for the students to be able to segment these words like k, at, and then be able to blend them back together, k, at. But they're going to not only be able to blend them once they've looked at them separately like that, but to maybe see them separated from the beginning and be able to blend them with the skills they've acquired. My motivation is was going to be Professor Garfield. Well, it is Professor Garfield Hayloft. Do that like on the smart board in front of the class. I was going to just show you on my iPad, but the iPad doesn't support Flash, so I've got my husband's laptop. I'm just going to pick it up. Hopefully you'll be able to see it. I've got light. I'm trying to, there we go. This has a really fun activity to get the kids intrigued because it's Garfield. I'm sure they watch that on TV. It's got lots of music, sound, and it relates to segmenting. and blending the music. If I just started it for the class, we would listen to the music at the beginning but not use it when we do the activity because it can be distracting. So let me refresh it.
Hi, welcome to the hayloft. Booker and Wade are baling hay. Can you match the sounds that Booker and Wade say to an object on the bales of hay? Listen carefully. Man is made of the sounds and. Top and juice are not and. Now you try. Which one of these objects is et?
So it's asking which object is net. Et. And what I would do with the smartboard, since there is 9 rounds, I would do the first round, and then as a class together, we would just orally answer the rest of them. So the music's off.
Et.
And if it was to sound it out again.
Et. Et.
Now if I was to select the wrong one,
Top.
that's not right.
Et. Juice. Et. Net. That's right. Net is made of the sounds et. Now let's try another one.
Anyways, we would just
Click on the object that matches the sounds.
do this activity together, and I went over the 2 wrong answers first to show the students so they would see it as an example. But we would just go through all 9 rounds as motivation before we did our activities, just to get them excited. Okay, let's see. So for my procedures, my first activity I would be doing is the say and slide phonemes, and I've got these Elkening boxes, and maybe move this stuff so I can get it in front of you. So I demonstrate to the class how to complete it. So we place a picture card in front like this. Now you're supposed to use counters or anything. I'm going to use pennies. Of course, I wouldn't use pennies in the classroom because they could put them in their mouths. But so what you do is you place the picture card in front. So this is a picture of a saw. You select the top card, you name the picture, saw, and you orally segment the sounds. And you repeat the sounds while moving the chip into each box, and you say the word quickly. So what you would do is you pull saw. And I would do an example for the students. Saw. Saw. Say it again fast, like that. Now, this activity, the whole class would do together, just like the motivation. We're not going to do them individually at first. We're going to do a couple together. We would do saw. This isn't an individual activity, like I said, but they would pair up in pairs. And so, because you have to work together. So the first, okay, let's see. The first pair, they got together and they had the word cheese. Excuse me. Cheese, like that. So the first student would pull the card, say cheese. Cheese, and their partner would cheese, and they would repeat it and say it fast, and then they would switch. And so the next person, another pair, just for example, if they were doing shirt, the first person would pull up the card, say shirt, shirt. Well, then their partner would say shirt, and blend it. And they would just take turns back and forth. So whoever pulled the card the first time wouldn't pull the second time. They would switch. And I thought that was a real fun activity to do together. All right. While I was giving the example, I would just ask them what the picture of it was. Sound it out, say it fast, and just like I showed you with my example, and then they would be able to do it in pairs together. And I would just walk around and observe them and make sure that they understood and they were doing it correctly. The next activity that we would do together is picture slide, which I really think is neat, and I don't remember doing anything like this, but I think it's cool. And this is where I'm sorry, I'm just trying to stay organized. I have a lot on this desk. I would demonstrate to the class how to do this picture slide. You place the picture cards in stacks, and then you draw a stack and you put them in front, you lay them out in front of you, but you don't put them together. But when you slide the pictures together, that's when you blend your word. So it's like you're visually blending the word, and I think it's very neat. I'll show you an example. Like just a short word first. The word be, they would choose the stack, they would lay it out like this, and then to blend it, they would be. Another example. So I would show the class that. Be. And so this activity that I would want to do with my classroom, I wouldn't do it in pairs or even at their desk alone. I think children they enjoy coming up to the front of the class, and that would give me an opportunity for the whole class to participate, but I could focus on each one individually, and it maybe let me know who's strong, who's average, and who may not be grasping it, and that would help me later on with knowing who needed some remediation. So I'll do another one. So I would just choose someone to come to the classroom. They would come up to the class, and if they had, for instance, star, they would choose the stack like this. They would separate them like that, and they would blend them star. They would do that in front of me, and I think that's an excellent way. I don't think it would take too much time. If you've got 20 students, they could come up very quickly, do it, but it would definitely give you an insight, or give me an insight on how well my students were grasping that. For closure, I just came up with this activity. I thought it would be fun. It's colorful. It's just a quick activity for us to wrap up the lesson together. So what I would do is I would pass out, I would break the class into groups of 4, I'm sorry. So if I had about 20 students, it'd only be 5 groups. Each group would get 2 pictures and some pom-poms, which are these, like you use in art. And I would give them 2 pictures, and the amount of pom-poms that they needed, that would be the total amount of sounds, phonemes in the words. I wouldn't give them not enough or too many to try to trip them up, as a test, because right now we're trying to grasp it, and we just need to focus and not be too wild with it. But for instance, I would give everyone 2 pictures. Oh my gosh. My phone was vibrating. I thought I had it on silent. I'm sorry. 2 pictures. So for instance, if I gave them a bed and a flag, they would get 7 pom-poms. Now the way this works is I would pass them out. The groups of 4 would work together. And then I would walk around, just kind of watch and see how they were doing. So when everyone had finished, I would say, which group has the bed? So whatever group had the bed, theirs would look like this when I come over there and look, because they would have ba-e-da, 3 pom-poms, ba-e-da. So I would pick up their picture, we'd sound it out together. I'd say they had 3 pom-poms. How do we, what are the phonemes? Ba-e-da, as a class. So then the next one that we would do, I would say, does anybody have, another question at the end of the activity, I would say, does anybody have an object that has 4 phonemes? Which would be 4 sounds. Someone would have a flag, and they would raise their hand. I would come over there and look. It would look like this. And it would be f-l-a-g, 4 phonemes. And we would just hold up a picture and review it as a class together. And that's how I would close out my lesson. The homework, I would have the students go home and draw an animal that had 3 sounds, because I think that would be a fun activity. It incorporates art, and there's lots of animals that have 3 sounds. We have p-ig, cat, cat, dog, dog, sorry, and bat. So they should know just from class some animals that we've used, some words, and if not, they can ask their parent. Their parent should know. Early finishers are going to work on CVC segmenting. It's just a worksheet where it's consonant, vowel, consonant, and it's the objects like there's a cat, a sheep, a dog, a bat, a fox. They're going to, I guess, notice the pattern while they're doing it, that it's consonant, vowel, consonant. We'll reflect on this when they finish. And then when they finish filling in the worksheet, they can color the animals. My special needs students, for students with a reading disability, they're going to work in small groups with a paraprofessional on blending together with hand gestures. Because I feel like the blending is probably where it's going to affect them with their reading disability. And so the paraprofessional will just go over and she'll use her hand gestures with them on blending. And then my English learners, they're going to work one-on-one with the paraprofessional or myself to practice the single syllable segmentation. And we're going to focus on the vowel sounds, the variety of the vowel sounds, because that is such a major deal for native learners. So I think with English learners, focusing on a variety, on the segmenting, not just words with the middle letter A or I or O, but all of them, and then A and I's together, all of that, one-on-one, we're going to work together. Remediation, when time allows for that, from the activity with the slide cards, I'll have a good idea of who needs some remediation. And when the time allows, myself or the aide can just work with a small group, and we'll just work with the slide cards again. We'll just go back to that activity and work on it again with them for those who just it didn't connect the first time too well. With the enrichment activity, I had a little bit of trouble because being limited to not using letters or words, I didn't really know a way to challenge students who really got it without going on to the next step. So with my enrichment activity would just be I'll have a stack of picture cards. I would have the students who I felt who finished, and they were enrichment students. They can get together, go through, pick out the pictures that are 5 phonemes, and if they think they can do more, 5 phonemes or more, pick out the cards that have that. Just so they can get more practice with bigger words and more phonemes. But this is my lesson plan, and that's it. I'm finished, and hope I did good, and I wish everybody good luck. Thank you.